course, we can talk now via Skype to Daniel Schwammenthal, who's Director of the Global Security and Human Rights Advocacy Organisation, AJC Transatlantic Institute. Very good afternoon to you. First of all, just how important would you say the capture of Salah Abdeslam is?
This is very significant for two main reasons. First of all, he's the only known survivor of the terror attacks, and so potentially he could be a very important, valuable source of information, perhaps telling police about potential other accomplices or other terror cells, and certainly the people who have helped him shelter over the last 4 months. And also, I think it's psychologically very important, on the one hand for the police here in Belgium, to finally have apprehended this key suspect, but also for the families and friends of the victims to see at least one of the perpetrators stand trial and to face justice. And I think that's very important for them to be able to cope with their losses.
So he could provide invaluable information to investigators if he does talk, but that's a big if, isn't it?
It is a big if. Mehdi Nemouche, the killer of the attacker of on the Belgium Jewish Museum here in Brussels, has so far refused to reveal any information. So we have to face the possibility that this suspect will also prefer to remain silent. There is, though, one perhaps glimmer of hope, because as far as we know, he was also supposed to blow himself up with a suicide belt, which was later found. And for reasons we don't know yet, he did not do it. So perhaps his convictions are not quite as strong, and that could perhaps give us a glimmer of hope that he might be perhaps ready to talk.
Well, yes, and you hint at what we know about his involvement. How much information is there on what his role was in these Paris attacks?
As far as we know, he drove some of the perpetrators of the terror attacks, those who then blew themselves up in the Stade de France in Paris. He then drove to the 18th arrondissement, and here as well he was supposed to, as far as investigators can tell, to participate and also use a suicide belt to blow himself up. He did not do this. He called friends back in Brussels to come and pick him up, and has been driven back here to Belgium, where he has been hiding now for the last 4 months.
Well, yes, and does that raise questions in itself for the Belgian authorities? Clearly his capture, and his capture alive, is a victory for them. However, are there questions to be asked about how he was picked up just yards away from his home?
Obviously, I think we should definitely praise the Belgian police forces and investigators for apprehending him. But at the same time, as you rightly said, the fact that he has been able to hide here in his old neighborhood. There were reports that he may have escaped to Syria and or perhaps Morocco, but in the end he was picked up just less than a kilometer from his family home. And that does pose serious questions to the authorities here, but also to the community itself in Molenbeek, that apparently he must have had a lot of help there, and people preferred hiding him rather than alerting the police.
And ultimately, what will his arrest mean for so-called Islamic State themselves? Does this damage them at all?
Unfortunately, I don't think that this will have tremendous repercussions for the Islamic State as such. It is, in the more regional fight here in Belgium, a significant victory. But we must not be fooled. There are thousands of others. According to Europol, up to 5,000 foreign fighters who have returned to Europe, to Western Europe. And so, despite this victory, we have to remain extremely vigilant, and we have to brace ourselves for possibly many more attacks like this throughout Europe.
Well, Daniel Schwammenthal, very interesting to talk to you. Thanks very much indeed for your take on this story. Thank you. You're watching Sky News.